But you have to recognize that most people ate gluten their whole entire lives and they were fine until a certain point in their life. And it's very easy for gluten to be a PTSD trigger. When you're a kid and your parents won't let you have a cookie, or you have to eat the crust. I hate eating the crust of the bread, and if you don't eat the crust of the bread, then you can't leave the dinner table and you can't play your video games. Stuff like that can make a kid react to gluten. If you see blood in the toilet for the first time and you freak out and you run to the computer and you Google, the first thing that comes up, oh, gluten is terrible for you. Even though you're Christian and it says the body of Christ is wheat, it's still bad for you. So when you get messaging like that, it's very easy for our subconscious mind to just freak out every single time gluten comes into our system. Oh, remember that time when you were 5 and you didn't eat your bread crust? Get it out of here. I want to get rid of this crap, but I can't. But most gluten intolerance that I see, it's when somebody sees blood in the toilet for the first time and they freak out and they Google gluten intolerance and they're like, oh yeah, I just had bread. Well, why didn't bread give you symptoms the million times you ate it before? Huh? So that's usually celiac and gluten intolerance. And this term is supposed to describe that someone has something going on in their small intestine. SIBO stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, or SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. Now, when these extra gut cells develop, alongside them are bacteria and fungi developing. A lot of people with SIBO will get high SIBO numbers, but they won't have symptoms. And then others will have high levels and will have a lot of symptoms. Now, these bad bacteria and fungi, they are made by our own cells. This is confirmed by many scientists. They've seen it under a microscope. Our brain controls the production of these so-called bad bacteria and fungi. We evolved with them. They come out of our own cells. And so their biological purpose is to break down these extra gut cells we don't need anymore. So the only way to get rid of SIBO and SIFO is to fix that. Oh, I want to get rid of this crappy boyfriend that I can't. You have to come to peace with this conflict on a conscious and subconscious level. And I know that might sound like very difficult, but a lot of the times just bringing this to consciousness will fix your problems. I have a program on my website. Just go to healyourgutguy.com and I show you everything that I did to get better. Even if you don't know what gut condition you have, like it just works because it gets to the root cause of the problem. You don't have to have like a serious diagnosis to get better. Dairy intolerance. A lot of people, like a lot of kids, will have dairy intolerances because mother's milk, or lactose intolerance, because mother's milk is our first important thing to our survival. And there's a lot of times mom can't feed us when we want it. And then when we're younger, there's a lot of times, or not younger, but a lot of times when we're young, we want ice cream, but we're not allowed to have it. We want mac and cheese, but we're not allowed to have it. Or, oh, I don't want to drink that. No, I don't want cheese. Ugh, yuck, goat cheese. Goat cheese can be a traumatic event. It's pretty gross if you ask me. So that's how a dairy intolerance forms. Leaky gut is a stupid term by the holistic community that's completely made up. So when there's holes in, this is what, I'm not saying this is true, this is just a theory, I'm explaining it. So they said there's holes in your gut, right? And undigested food particles go in these holes and then they go to random spots in your body and cause symptoms. So let's put this theory to the test. So let's say I have a rash here, only here. And I have leaky gut, right? So I eat something and this toxin goes all throughout my body and it only comes out here. If this theory were true, every time I ate something not good, it would go I would just have rashes all over my body. But that's not the case. This term is stupid. Don't, like, anybody who says leaky gut, you just be like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. This, if I had a rash here, it would be from an attack conflict or a separation conflict. Like, let's say I'm in an abusive relationship, right? And the person grabs me, "You're not going anywhere." And I'm like, "Ugh!" That's why this would respond. Not because I have leaky gut. Crohn's, again, a dumb term, but the way I use it to describe inflammation here, but it could literally mean anything. It just depends on what side of the bed your GI doctor wakes up when you're getting a diagnosis. Because, like, if I say Crohn's, I gotta, like if I'm talking to a GI doctor, I have Crohn's disease. He's gonna need to follow up with a question of like, oh, where's the inflammation? Is it in the small intestine or in the large intestine? Where if I just told him, hey, I have ileitis, he'd go, okay, you got inflammation in the ileum. We don't need to have this stupid long conversation for no reason. Oh, I have colitis. Okay, you have inflammation in your colon. We don't need to have this stupid conversation. It's such a dumb term. And Dr. Burrell Crohn's did not want to use this term. We're just stuck with it today. Now we have colitis, which is inflammation of the colon. It can be called ulcerative colitis. We also have IBS. Don't let me forget IBS. So we have colitis. So just you stick a camera up here or do a colonoscopy and you see if there's inflammation. Now, if there's bleeding inflammation, we call it ulcerative colitis. If all parts of the colon are inflamed, then we call it pancolitis. So we did that. Diverticulitis is a more advanced form of colitis. So if colitis and ulcerative colitis have been like going on for a very, very long time, the walls of the colon start to break down and they start to form these pockets. And then they call it diverticulitis. Sigmoiditis is the sigmoid colon right here. So this region right here, if that region's inflamed, they will sometimes call it sigmoiditis, but that is a term they really don't use that much. We have E. coli, C. diff, and Candida. Now these can grow anywhere in the intestines, and it's a similar story to SIBO. Our body develops these extra bad bacteria and fungi to help remove these extra gut cells we no longer need, and they will go away when we resolve the conflict on a conscious and subconscious level. We have colon cancer. So Dr. Hammer discovered that when someone really, it's a conflict shock of like let's say you're dating someone and then you find out that they're sleeping with your best friend, right? I want to get rid of both of these pieces of crap, but I can't. I'm married to this one, and my best friend is married to some family member. I literally can't get rid of them. I'm stuck, like this is a nightmare. What am I gonna do? It will develop extra gut cells to help digest and break down this crappy situation. Then when the conflict gets resolved, these bacteria and fungi get activated and break down this tumor, and that's when you get nasty symptoms. If the conflict is off and on, off and on, off and on, that's when a mess starts to form in the colon. IBS is when you have symptoms and they investigate every part of the intestines and they don't find inflammation anywhere. So they call it irritable bowel syndrome. Now, there's other conditions in the stomach and in the rectum, which I'm not going to go over because it's just like a whole nother video like this. So if you want to learn everything I did to get better, to learn everything that I did to get better, I have a step-by-step 13-day protocol with videos and bonuses. Go to my website, healyourgutguy.com, and sign up for it. It's the best gut health course on the market.